Hi everyone, my name is Lua Rivera. I come from Mexico. I'm a textile artist but also doing installation with different materials, and I always work with concepts based on nature processes and nature spirit. The techniques could vary, but mostly I do structural weaving like freestyle, and the second one is collage montage with different materials in a three-dimensional space. First, I want to show you some examples of what I do, and these are going to be different works in different countries. You will see some nest, mostly the nest. I think it was the first concept that I was working with, because the nest can be very diverse, and also it could be a mental space, a physical space. It could travel through time, like the nest in real time, the nest we left, the nest lost and found. And it's quite interesting because it can also be woven in different techniques. Especially, it's more like a freestyle, and also these structures lead me to learn the technique I'm going to show you later. And some of the pieces are also more about the nature spirit. In this case, they are kinetic, because nature is always in movement, nature is always changing. And I also want to represent this action and the adaptation of the work to the space. In this case, I like to choose different locations. It could be the border in between the nature world and the human world. For the structural weaving, I normally use the hard structure as a frame that could be found on the space, like the trees or the metal bars of a building, depending on the space. Sometimes I also build the structure with bamboo or with wood, with plastic or metal. I start weaving with rope, different kinds of rope. It could go from fabric, thread, different types of fabric, from cotton to polyester, depending on where is the structure placed. So I like to use natural materials only for the spaces in the forest or in nature areas like the beach or other spaces, because they will integrate in the space, so it has to be environmental friendly also. I think it's very important for me and for the people I work with. I start making a second frame with the line, and I normally weave around the main point, and then in between it's like a grid or a fractal. It can start by one triangle, two triangles, and then I divide those triangles with the same line, making them half or even smaller every time. That depends of what you want. If you want a very open tissue, like a membrane, or you want something very tiny, like a textile almost. And also, every time you divide the triangles, they become harder, because sometimes you cannot do this by hand, but when you do it with the line, with the thread, you can pull a little bit more every time. So in the end, it becomes very, very strong, and at the same time very flexible. So you will have this tension in the structure that will make you bounce, and you will feel it. Like normally, it's a weaving style that becomes very, very hard. It's not soft at all, and also it's very strong. It can handle a lot of weight. I think the maximum weight that I have put on it is around 600 kilograms, and still good. it keeps bouncing, coming back to the same shape. So I like to use this style of weaving because it's very safe for the public who come to see my work and experiment it by physically going inside of the work and interacting with the work. The line has to be very, very long because the distances will be long, in between 4 to 10 meters. So I like to use the rope very, very long, and as these triangles become smaller and smaller, then the length of the rope that I use will be shorter, and every time I finish the rope I link with a knot and continue. The smallest piece of rope that I will use depends on the size of the triangles. If the triangles are maybe 4 centimeters, then the rope I will use is around 50 centimeters or 1 meter. That you can choose the decision between right, left, up and down. Some angles don't work and some angles make it more tight. You need to check, like every time you choose a new point, you need to check if it's making the structure loose or is it making it harder. So I think that will be, but if you want to try this technique, you have to you have to try and test with your fingers if it's making it loose or if it's making it more tight. And I think that's it. I wish you good luck and thank you for this invitation. I'm very glad to be here and sharing my techniques with you guys. Thank you very much.